All right. I, I would like to call this meeting to order, as much as I want to join in that conversation over there. All right. Welcome to the January 23rd, 2023 meeting of the Planning and Development Committee. I think this will be a zippy one. We have one item before us, but before that, I call this meeting to order and declare a quorum. Before I declare a quorum, I'll need a roll call.
Councilmember Wynn. Here. Councilmember Nusma.
Here.
Councilmember Burns.
Here.
Councilmember Ravel. Here. Councilmember Katakardis.
Here.
And Councilmember Reed. Chair Reed.
Here. With all members present, we have a quorum. That brings us to our approval of our December 12th, 2022 meeting minutes.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the minutes of our December 12th, 2022 meeting.
Moved by Councilmember Nusma, seconded by
I'll second.
Councilmember Hedekadis. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. And now, all those opposed? Any abstentions? Wonderful. That brings us to public comment. We have one person signed up in person, and that is Tim Guimau. Okay.
I spoke at the last committee meeting, and I'm very grateful that they tabled the issue about the Hunden study. I just wanted to reiterate some things. When we do a study, we meaning the city of Evanston, about this issue, the new stadium, that study should have 4 elements. Northwestern's only has 1 element. They look at the positive impacts, and I believe they don't look at it very well. They use a multiplier analysis that is notoriously not reliable for these kinds of studies, but they use it anyway. They have assumptions about their analysis which we don't know because they haven't released it. I think the city needs to get their study and evaluate their study. So positive impacts, that's one thing. Second thing is negative impacts. A lot of the negative impacts are substitution effect. When new money comes into the city for an event, it crowds out or it pushes aside money that would have been spent on entertainment somewhere else in the city, or it pushes aside money spent in businesses that people can't get to because of congestion and parking problems. And it turns out those effects are much larger than people expect. Thirdly, any study should review the extensive sports economics literature that lays all this out. I don't think Northwestern mentioned the economic literature at all. And then fourthly would be a serious critique of Northwestern's study. That means we have to have their study and we need to critique it. We need to look at their assumptions, their methodologies, and their data. And did they do it right?
I'm going to ask you to start wrapping up.
Okay, that's quick. All right. I think the last thing I want to point out is there was a court case in 1978, Illinois Supreme Court, Northwestern versus City of Evanston. And the court determined that Northwestern needs to evaluate the negative impacts on the neighborhood, meaning the city, when they want to propose commercial uses of their facilities. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And it does feel quick. At committee, the time limit is 2 minutes. At council, it's 3, up to 3.
I'm sorry. Okay.
No problem. Okay, that is, oh, okay, I'm sorry. Who?
Aaron Cohen.
Aaron Cohen? Online, on Zoom? And then who? And I want to make sure that folks understand that this is the Planning and Development Committee, not council or another committee. All right, so Eric Passett, and then, I'm sorry, Mr. Cohen, and I'm not seeing you there, and then Alan Moy. Alan Moy. And again, this
Hello,
is,
this is Alan Moy.
and I want to note for you, I see what your topic is. This is the Planning and Development Committee, not City Council.
Yeah, I apologize. I unfortunately, the agenda link was not working on the landing page form, so I put it in as a note regarding the cashless ban. So if I have to wait to the later items, that's not a problem. That's what I wanted to speak to.
Okay, if that's what you're free to speak at this committee, but yes, if that's your item, council is a better venue.
Not a problem.
Okay, thank you. All right, with that, there's no further public comment unless Aaron Cohen is there. All right, we will move on. So that brings us to our one item for consideration, which is Resolution 1R23, authorizing the acquisition of real property at 2404 Ridge Avenue through eminent domain. Is there a motion?
Yes, I move approval of Resolution 1-R-23, authorizing the acquisition of real property at 2404 Ridge Avenue through eminent domain.
Moved by
I
Council.
second.
Moved by Councilmember Ravel, seconded by Councilmember Kelly. Is there any discussion on this item? Councilmember Ravel.
Well, I was just wondering, some input from staff about, are there any financial implications, or we've exhausted all of those efforts?
Good evening, members of the Planning and Development Committee, Nicholas Cummings, Corporation Counsel. We have exhausted efforts to try and acquire this property or otherwise utilize the property amicably. And so now the city has to exercise its police power to acquire the property through eminent domain. Unfortunately, realistically, it will cost the city more money than we've offered to purchase the property. The courts will likely force us to pay the fair market value, which was offered to the owner, in addition to paying for legal fees and court costs.
And what was the, so we will pay the appraised value, what was that?
$19,000.
Thank you.
Okay. Seeing no further lights, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it. And seeing no further business before us, that concludes our meeting.